Hi everyone, Emily here from Emily Reads, and today I have for you my November reading wrap up. And today is Saturday, November 30th. So, yes, we still have a day left in November. However, there's no way I'm going to finish a book today. I actually need to leave in like 10 or so minutes. I'm working two basketball tournaments. Working tickets for that. Got to pay off a $2,000 tooth after having a root canal and a crown. But so no way I'm going to get my books read. I just started yesterday The Cat Who Saw Red, and I maybe like 20 pages into that. And I also started Rhythm of War, which is book 4 in the Stormlight Archives. So excited to be reading that for the first time, and I'm only on page like 50 something. No way I'm going to finish that today since it's a 1,242 page book. It's 10 pages shorter than Count of Monte Cristo. So no way I'm going to finish that today. But before we get started with my November wrap up, I'm going to do my unboxing on my advent calendar. I'm on day 3. For a minute, I thought that it wasn't there because it's just kind of down a little bit. And today's flavor is Death's Door. Blend of Sumatra, Costa Rica, and Colombia. Now, that sounds really good. I don't know why they named it Death's Door, though. That has me kind of a little frightened that there's a whole ton of caffeine in here. But I'm looking forward to trying that. All right, let's put that back in. And now let's get into the wrap up. So first I read Lasagna Means I Love You, and this was a gift from Krista over at Books and Jams. So at the last 2 virtual besties reading retreat, we've done like a gift exchange where you put your name on a list and you're randomly assigned someone to buy gifts off of their wish list or books off of their wish list, and Krista had me. And so this was on my wish list. I actually, this is by Kate O'Shaughnessy. And I actually put this on my wish list after watching her review of it. And this is a delightful, heartwarming, at times heartbreaking story about Mo, who was raised by her grandmother, and her grandmother passes away. And she is placed into the foster care system and is trying to create a family for herself and also find a hobby and healing of grief through this hobby of collecting other people's family recipes. It was just a beautiful book, and I'm actually kind of looking forward to reading more by this author. So I do highly recommend this, and thanks, Krista, for this book. Next, I read Mexikid by Pedro Martin, and this is a middle grade graphic memoir, and I really enjoyed this book. This was part of Krista's Patreon book club, and there were some that did not rate it as high as I did. I would give this a 4.5 star. I forgot to mention, Lasagna Means I Love You, I would give 5 stars. This I would give 4.5 stars, and here's why. I'm not the intended audience. This audience is middle grade boys, and let me tell you, middle grade boys, it did the job. Middle grade boys would love this book. There is for sure some gross humor in here, and I was reading this actually at school, and there's a scene where like this boy gets like pop rocks caught in their boogers and they explode. So disgusting, so gross. And I was like, ew, ew. I'm reading it, and my boy students are like, what? And they were all fascinated by the book. So it does its job, telling the story. It's kind of a slice of life memoir. It's a time when Pedro and his family, he is like a middle child and of 9 children, and they all travel down to Mexico to pick up his grandfather and go on this like his grandfather's getting older, he needs more care, and so they're gonna have him live with them. It's their road trip down, and then the road trip back home, and he doesn't really know his grandfather all that well because he lives in California, grandfather lives in Mexico, and so it was just a good read to hear about the different cultures, and I really enjoyed it. This will probably go in my classroom library. I do work in a school district with a high Hispanic population, so it was really nice also for me to find something that my students might want to read that reflects their culture. And then I read Iona Iverson's Rules for Commuting by Claire Pooley. This came as a recommendation from someone at the BookTube Besties virtual reading retreat. And I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I would give this 4.5 stars. This was what I wanted Community Board to be, but Community Board was not. There are for sure some very hard things that each of these people, they're all commute together on a train, and they're brought together one day when someone almost chokes to death, and they start forming relationships with others after that event. And just each person has something that's really hard and difficult that they're facing in their lives, and they come together and form friendships and support each other. And I thought it did a wonderful job balancing and tackling those hard issues and also having humor and that found family and those found friendships. And it was just a heartwarming book. There are some trigger warnings in here, so check those. They might contain some spoilers, so keep that in mind. But I did think this was just a really wonderful read. And then I read The Chonky Beast. I read 11/22/63 by Stephen King, which this is kind of like a portal historical fantasy revisionist history where our main character, Jake Epping, he travels back in time to 1958 in a journey and a quest to prevent the JFK assassination, and then kind of the implications of what that means to travel back in time and how might that affect history. And I really enjoyed it. The first 200 pages are set in Derry, Maine, which is where it takes place. And I read it back in the 8th grade, so a long time ago. I read it right when, in preparation for the miniseries with Tim Curry came out. And like, it freaks me out. Like, to this day, I hate clowns. And so the first 200 pages are set in Derry, Maine, like a year after, like in 1958. So it's a year after some of the events in it. And just for 200 pages, it's just dread. And like how he describes the dread and the doom and the gloom of the town, it's just so good. And just, I was like, oh my gosh, get out of Derry, get out of Derry. You need to leave, you need to leave. But yeah, I so enjoyed this. The ending, like, Stephen King has kind of a reputation of like, he can't nail the endings. This one he did. It's not the ending that I wanted, but it is the ending that the story needed and the story demanded, and was absolutely perfect for the story. It was just beautiful and haunting. And if you're not a horror fan, read this book. Like, this does not have horror in it. It is so good. Okay, then next I read, I don't have it, it was on my Kindle. I read Assistant to the Villain. I don't remember the author's name for that. I'm so sorry. So the reason why I read Assistant to the Villain, my virtual book club chose to read that book, and I enjoyed it. Like, did it have some plot issues? Yes. Did it have some pacing issues? Yes. Did I like the nickname that the villain gave our heroine, Little Tornado? No, I thought that was stupid. And it annoyed the snot out of me every time he said it. But I did enjoy it. I would give it like 3.5 stars. Would I read the sequel? Absolutely. I did not expect the reveal at the end, and so I enjoyed that. I also enjoyed and appreciated the fact that, like, there's definitely chemistry and sexual tension, but there's nothing on page. The most that they do is they kiss, and I appreciated that not all fantasy with romance has to have a high level of spice. So I appreciated that. Then I read Dawnshard by Brandon Sanderson. So this is a novella at 290 pages. Only Brandon Sanderson could say that. But this is a novella that you need to read between Oathbringer and Rhythm of War. And I didn't really care too much for Edge Dancer. I I don't really like the main character of Edge Dancer, but this one, we have a new main character. I don't feel like it answered some questions about like what really is the Dawn Shard. We do this. I don't feel like this is a spoiler. I mean, the title is Dawn Shard, so we're going to get some information about what is the Dawn Shard, but we don't have too much information. So I'm hoping Rhythm of War and Wind and Truth will answer some of those questions because the implications I think could be really significant. Um, and I did enjoy the storyline and expanding our world on Roshar beyond the Shattered Plains. So I did really enjoy this one. I'd give this 4 stars. And last, I read The Blackbird Oracle by Deborah Harkness. So this is her 5th book in the All Souls world. It takes place 6 years after the All Souls trilogy. And in this, Diana, um, she begins to learn about her proctor side, her father's side of the family. She doesn't really know too much about that side of the family, and then also the magic behind that her family wields. And so I thought that was interesting. I thought the pacing was kind of slow and just kind of plodding at times, which annoyed me. And there were also supposed to be some pretty significant conflict climax moments a few times in the book. And then when they finally like happened, it was just kind of like, and it happened. It wasn't a big climactic moment, which I thought there would be. So that knocks the rating down to a 3.5 because it was building up to a whole big confrontation that ended up never happening. So, and how the book ends, it's very clear that she's planning more books in this world. So I'm hoping that at some point, these high tense moments will actually play out and we'll get something, because I don't feel like we had a whole lot. But I did appreciate and enjoy learning more about her family and her other side of the family. Some of it I just felt was convoluted and overdrawn. So, will I read more in this world? Yes. This for sure was a far better entry in the world than Times Convert. And that is all, folks. And I'm out of time. I gotta get my shoes on and blaze on out of here. But I hope that you had a wonderful Thanksgiving break and that you had a wonderful reading month. And have you read any of these books? If so, what are your thoughts on them? And what are you excited to read in December? For me, I am excited about Rhythm of War. I'm also kind of nervous about reading it because December, between school and finals and progress reports and grades, and there's changes in my schedule happening for second semester and getting ready for that. It's going to be a stressful, busy time, but I have a week off, or I have Christmas break, so yay me. Yeah, thanks so much for watching, and as always, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Bye!